warmly to this important conversation this afternoon. Personally, I must confess that I'm very excited to be meeting you, the critical stakeholders, for the first time since I assumed office at the Commission. So, in line with the tradition of our cultures across the country, it is only fit and proper that I start by paying fraternal homage to you all. So, you are all welcome. Please accept it. Well, as you are duly informed in the invitation card, our purpose here today is to address an issue of critical national importance everyone is complaining about, which is the growing trend of unreasonable pricing of consumer goods and services across the country on the one hand, and the unwholesome practice of market associations engaged in price fixing on the other hand. This, I'm sure, we all agree with me, as eroded consumer trust and strengthening the stability of our economy. As a responsive organization, let me inform you that we have carried out discrete market surveys extensively across the country in the past few weeks. Our findings are quite disturbing, to put it mildly. Therefore, our gathering here today is to underscore the gravity of the situation and urgency of the need that we both work together to check the unwholesome developments. As a statutory body whose mandate is to cater to consumer rights, we cannot allow this unhealthy trend to continue. To be sure, we quite recognize that an unfavorable exchange rate has negatively impacted the cost of production in local currency. However, the margin in pricing of goods and services is rather unreasonable or excessive in not a few cases. We have observed, for instance, that the margin in the prices of imported goods are very disproportionate in many cases, and in the case of locally produced goods, excessively inflated. This is an untenable situation, particularly in the retail markets, where we have identified patterns of price fixing perpetrated by some market associations, price gouging, and other anti-consumer practices. For proper understanding, price fixing refers to an unholy agreement between competing businesses to set prices at a certain level. This can be done either explicitly or implicitly, and it prevents healthy competition that is otherwise expected to drive prices down and improve quality. Price gouging, on the other hand, occurs when sellers significantly increase the price of goods or services during a crisis or a period of economic challenge. This practice takes undue advantage of the consumers. To illustrate, let me give you some glimpses of our findings. For instance, I checked just a few days ago at a popular supermarket in Texas, United States, revealed that a fruit blender called Ninja is displayed on the shelf at $89, roughly about 140,000 naira. Just 2 days ago. That was 2 days ago. Meanwhile, the same product made by the same manufacturer was displayed at a popular supermarket at Victoria Island in Lagos at naira 44,000, naira 99. You can see the difference on the same day and the same hour. This represents more than 500% inflation of the cost. Interestingly, when our undercover officer visited the same supermarket 2 weeks earlier, the same blender was on display with its price tag of 750,000 naira. So within 1 week, it became naira 44,000 naira. The question then arises, what is the basis for this arbitrary hike in the price of the blender compared to the one we saw in the US? What business principle can justify this level of profiteering? At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps it will be helpful that I cite a few more of the unpleasant discoveries we made during our investigation. In some notable supermarkets surveyed, displayed in Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, and in Lagos, we also found that prices were arbitrarily jacked up from time to time without any justifiable reason. In one particular big supermarket in Abuja, we won't mention the name, for instance, consumers were being charged 2,600 naira for an imported toilet soap at the payment point, as the price tag was not displayed as earlier mandated by FCCPC. The same toilet soap was displayed for sale at 1,950 naira at a popular supermarket again, another supermarket in Lekki, Lagos the same day. This act already constitutes a double offense. From our findings, the penchant to high prices arbitrarily is also common among sellers of food items and transport operators. When the foodstuff sellers were engaged, their common response was that the cost of transportation had increased. But how justifiable is it for a tomato seller to double the price of a basket of tomatoes simply because they paid higher transportation fare, whereas the price of the same basket of tomatoes was far cheaper at another market within the same jurisdiction surveyed by our field officers? Now the question is, did the seller who sold at a lower price not also pay transport fare? In a typical foodstuff market environment, this is how price fixing happens. A trailer load of yam tubers arrives to Wuse Market in Abuja from, say, Benue State. Rather than allow free trade, the market cartel then insert themselves between the producer, farmers, and the retailers. They buy in large quantities from the producer at cheap rates, and in turn sell to market retailers at much higher price. And retailers in turn sell to consumers at cutthroat rates. Ladies and gentlemen, such price fixing is no longer acceptable, and the FCCPC will henceforth crack down on those involved in this profiteering scheme. In the case of public transportation, again, how justifiable is it for the bus driver to double their fare simply because they pay slightly higher for petrol? Of course, this will only result in a spiral of arbitrary hike in the price of other services. The landlord who pays more for transportation will probably seek to double their own rent as a survival tragedy. So what you lose at the corner, you gain at the roundabout. And what you gain at the roundabout, you lose at the corner. The school owner asks to pay higher rent will also likely increase the fees they charge students. So it goes round. That way, we all end up being losers, with the cost of living becoming unbearable for everyone. In view of the current situation in Nigeria, let me, however, be very unequivocal. Price gouging and price fixing are not unethical, but patently illegal under the FCCPC Act. Under Section 17 of the Act, which empowers the Commission to eliminate anti-competitive practices, misleading, unfair, deceptive, or questionable marketing, trading, and business practices. As such, the FCCPC has the will and the capacity to invoke the full weight of the law against those found culpable of exploiting consumers for undue profit. Under Section 155 of our law, whether individuals or corporate entities face severe penalties, including substantial fines and imprisonment if found guilty by the court of law. This is intended to deter all parties involved in such illicit activities. However, our approach today is not punitive or adversarial. To start with, we intentionally resolve to withhold the names of the aforementioned errant supermarkets, believing that after the exposition, they will turn a new leaf and adjust their prices downward at a reasonable level. This approach is born out of our conviction that dialogue and collaboration are equally important tools in fostering a fair market price. Therefore, the purpose of this meeting is to engage with you, market leaders and key players in the supply and distribution chains to chart a path forward that balances the need for business profitability with the imperative of consumer protection. So we are not stopping you from making your profits. We are only here to partner with you to be able to protect Nigerian consumers better. We believe that through constructive engagement like we have today, we can establish a framework for reasonable pricing that benefits all stakeholders, particularly the consumers who are the backbone of our economy. Please note that this new initiative by the FCCPC aligns with the renewed hope agenda of our President, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which prioritizes the welfare of Nigerian people in all economic activities. We are determined to uphold this agenda by ensuring that market practices do not exacerbate the economic challenges faced by our citizens at this time. Good enough, as a sensitive leader who cares for the welfare of the citizen, the President has already graciously taken some pragmatic steps to ease food security in the country, including the provision of fertilizer to farmers, as well as removal of tariffs on the importation of selected staple food items. It is only just and reasonable that distributors and traders pass down the gains to Nigerian consumers by reducing the prices in the coming weeks. As we move forward, I therefore call on all stakeholders present to embrace the spirit of patriotism and cooperation. Let us talk to ourselves. The law empowers the Commission to impose heavy fine for breaches and also prosecute offenders, which will lead to jail terms. For instance, Section 107, subsection 4A of our Act clearly states that where the undertaking is a natural person, is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years, or to payment of a fine not exceeding 10 million naira, or to both the fine and imprisonment. Section 107, subsection 4B also states that where the undertaking is a body corporate, is also liable to conviction or to a fine not exceeding 10% of the turnover in the preceding business year. But in the spirit of democracy, we are first exploring the option of dialogue. It is also in this spirit that we are giving a moratorium of 1 month before the Commission will start firm enforcement. Let us work together to create a marketplace that is not only competitive but also fair and just. The FCCPC is committed to fair pricing to all Nigerians.
Good afternoon, my chairman. I want to stand on the existing protocol in order not to waste time. National Association of Nigerian Traders, which is NANS, is the umbrella body of the market, the traders in the market and the plazas. So those of you that are even the Fish Association, you belong to the association. So when we finish, we would like to meet with you. I wouldn't want to take much of the time, but I want to say some of the things that cause this high cost of pricing. You know, government have their own way of doing things. They will say one thing, do another thing. For us, the common traders, our own is to buy and sell. But like the importation goods, the imported goods, they will say price is 1,000, let's assume $500. Before the thing comes to the port, the customs clear it, the charges they will put there. The clearing agent and other things. And even as they carry it from the port outside, the security agencies will take their own before it gets to the point of sale. So on that note, you will find out that price will be increasing. You understand? And another thing is that we are not even talking of the product we sell that you see. What of the mechanic? The charges, because you don't know about it. You will not believe he wants to buy a mood of rice for 2005. He will not come and do job of 500 naira. He will not meet up. So we will not charge you to meet up to buy the thing. So everything keep on increasing. So if the government wants to regulate, you start from the point of the entry down to the and thereby you set up a monitoring team. The association is there to help from the federal to local to the world level. Because without that, you cannot checkmate it. For instance, if you come to my market in Zone 3, And besides, some people will buy 5,000 naira. During the time of to convey it, the transporter will charge him high, while the other person, they didn't charge him. So the price varies. You understand? So, and if you come for the local product we have here, government will give fertilizer. The agencies will sell to them, to farmers. So the thing increased. And another thing, when they go into the farm to farm, you know, like this insecurity thing, I learned some people, especially in the north, pay to these bandits to come and cultivate. So this is, they will put it into the goods they produce. So it's an e-win. It doesn't blame anybody good. But one thing, you know, when I was applying Cameroon, the price in Cameroon was stable for 2-3 years. No change anywhere. Go to Uganda, Douala, go anywhere. No change because they regulate it. But Nigeria, the corruption there has eaten everybody up. Everybody wants to make money. You understand? So it's an e-win that blows nobody any good. So what I want to suggest is, at the end of this meeting, if we can do well to set up the monitoring team to be able to checkmate it. And by God's grace,